What's up, guys? It's Cody from Helpful Dreams. Thank you so much for coming by the channel today. If you haven't been here before, this is where we take complex ideas and break them down into simplified versions so we can listen to them and embed them into our subconscious to become the best versions of ourselves. If you've been here before, thank you so much for the ongoing support. I appreciate you guys. Going over this information each day has revolutionized my productivity in life, and I'm just so grateful to be doing this. Today we're going to be looking at a book from Brian Tracy called Get Smart, and we're going to be diving into the key takeaways and just cutting out all the fat and getting straight to the topics that are going to move the needle in our life, and we're going to jump into it right now. Thank you so much. Summary Part 1. Changing your perspective is the first step in unlocking your brain's potential. Assume you have a bank account with a $1 million balance. Assume you only have access to 20,000 of that million. That would be a very frustrating situation, wouldn't it? But astonishingly, that is pretty much how little access you have to the wealth and brain power that exists within your head. According to recent research, the average person only uses 2% of their mental abilities. In other words, we are wasting 98% of our potential power. But how much potential does this have? We all have approximately 100 billion brain cells, and each of these cells is connected to approximately 20,000 other cells. Tony Buzan, a brain expert, claims that if everyone used all of their brain cells, each person could generate more ideas than there are molecules in the universe. Fortunately, we can all tap into this untapped brain power. To begin, all we need to do is change our perspective. How we perceive and interpret life is critical to making the most of it. For example, an optimist sees a world full of potential and goodness, whereas a pessimist only sees problems and negativity. When confronted with constructive feedback, a pessimist may become overwhelmed by his failure, whereas an optimist likely will see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. 6 wise and blind men attempt to describe an elephant. The first man touches the elephant's ear and compares it to a thick blanket. The second touches a tusk and determines it's sharp and pointy. The third touches a leg and comes to the conclusion that an elephant is similar to a tree trunk. The fourth person touches the side and thinks it's a wall. The fifth imagines a rope after feeling the tail. And the sixth man places his hand on the elephant's head, which resembles a rock to him. They all have different points of view. And while none of them are entirely incorrect, they each miss the big picture by focusing only on certain aspects. If we are to avoid the same fate, we must broaden our own perspectives. Throughout this video, we'll learn how to change our perspective in order to start thinking and living successfully. Summary Part 2. Future goals will be possible through the combination of long-term thinking and immediate actions. When it comes to life planning, there are 2 approaches you can take: short-term thinking and focusing on maximum pleasure in the here and now, or long-term thinking and planning. Long-term thinking is about planning ahead of time and considering the consequences of your actions, and then the consequences of those consequences, and so on. So which is superior? Well, the vast majority of happy and successful people are also long-term thinkers. In 1970, Harvard professor Edward Banfield observed that people from different socioeconomic backgrounds who earned more money were the ones who planned ahead, often years or even decades ahead. These are the brightest members of society. However, their intelligence was derived from their perspectives, specifically their ability to consider how each of their actions would move them closer to their ultimate goals. And this is still true today. According to Forbes magazine, there were 290 new billionaires in 2015, with 66% of them self-made and starting from nothing. Long-term planning is essential for generating this wealth from scratch. To join the ranks of these brilliant individuals, consider where you want to be in 5 years and then determine what you need to do now to get there. This entails taking stock of your professional and personal lives, as well as your health and financial independence, and then making critical decisions based on this information. But it's always worth remembering that making a great plan isn't enough. You also need to put it into action. A large proportion of Americans, roughly 70%, live paycheck to paycheck. They don't think about saving or investing in the future. Instead, they focus on what car or gadget they want to buy right now. These people are in for a rude awakening when they reach retirement age. If you want to avoid this fate, you must devise a strategy. Set up a savings account right away and deposit 10 to 15% of your monthly income. Compound interest allows relatively small investments made at a young age, even as little as $100 per month, to grow into massive sums by the time you retire. Every moment you put off or focus on immediate gratification will cost you in old age. Summary Part 3. Slow down your thinking to make better decisions. Human thoughts, like bubbles in a glass of champagne, generally vanish quickly after they form, along with the countless others. There is always plenty of mental sparkle and fizz, but there is a distinct lack of genuine substance. Unfortunately, many of us allow these speeding, fleeting bubbles to dominate us. We allow emotional, reactive thoughts to determine our actions rather than using our brain to think logically and wisely. When we receive a ping on our phone, for example, our brain compels us to immediately drop the task at hand and take a look. Or when someone riles up, our initial angry thoughts frequently lead us to lash out. This does not have to be the case. We can make better use of our brains. There are two types of thought processes. According to Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman, there's the impulsive type of thinking we just described, and then there is the slower, more rational type of thinking in which we weigh all of our options and make deliberate decisions. Using this slower way of thinking when planning important long-term goals will result in a better decision-making process. The good news is that the slower method is relatively simple to employ. The longer you take to make decisions, the more chances your slow-thinking brain has of providing the best answer. Here are a few simple techniques for slowing down your thinking. One effective strategy is to wait 72 hours before making any major decisions. This will give you plenty of time to carefully consider your options. Nothing kickstarts a slow brain like a period of solitude. Spending 30 minutes to an hour each day in a quiet, secluded location will allow your mind to think. Turn off all distractions, including phones and music, and allow your thoughts to flow like a river. When left alone to think, your mind will quickly generate brilliant ideas and solutions. Finally, you can go through each stage of Brian Tracy's GOSPA model to consider long-term strategy carefully. G stands for goals. What outcomes do you hope to achieve over a long period of time? For example, what kind of growth do you want to achieve over the next 5 years? O stands for objectives. These are the smaller targets that will help you get closer to your larger goals. For instance, what level of growth should you aim for this year? S stands for strategies. How will you accomplish your goals? For instance, what marketing strategy will generate the necessary growth? P stands for priorities. Determine the most effective actions that will ensure the success of your strategy. A stands for actions. The day-to-day work that will eventually lead you to your goals. Going through the GOSPA model step by step will give your slower thinking brain the space it needs to make the best decisions. Make use of it the next time you need to think of a long-term strategy. Summary Part 4. Success requires thorough research and asking the right questions. So far, we've mostly discussed how shifting perspectives can aid in personal development. Throughout the rest of this video, we'll look at how changing your mindset can help you succeed in business. Here's a question for you. Why do 80% of new products fail? According to Forbes magazine, customer demand for a company's product or service is the most important factor in determining its success. Simply put, if no one wants to use your product, you will fail. So how do you ensure that customers are interested in what you're selling? All business success stories begin with extensive research. You will fail if you do not know enough about your potential market. That's all there is to it. Asking others is a good place to start. There is no substitute for expertise. Experts in your field will almost certainly be able to evaluate the quality of your idea, so ask them. You should also look for people who have already walked in your shoes. A simple Google search for the potential idea will most likely yield information on what others have discovered. You can even question these trailblazers in person. In short, go out of your way to gather all of the information possible. Once you've developed a basic concept of a viable product, it's time to determine whether or not people will actually buy it. But don't just look for proof of your product's greatness. This could lead to confirmation bias, in which you only seek information that validates your idea. Instead, you must act like a scientist. Make a hypothesis about what your product will bring to the market and then test it. Assume you've invented a new type of laundry detergent. Your hypothesis will be something like, I believe people will purchase my new laundry detergent. Then you will try to prove why your hypothesis is correct. Encourage prospective customers to find flaws in your product. Ask them why they wouldn't buy it or why they should choose a competitor brand. If they are still interested despite your campaign, you may have found a winner. Naturally, this approach necessitates your complete honesty. If your idea or product is more important to you than the truth, you will not learn everything there is to know about it. So embrace a total willingness to fail and learn. Summary Part 5. Following a written goal will help you stay on track in an ever-changing, chaotic world. We live in a fast-paced world where technology is advancing at breakneck speeds. Information and new ideas can spread across the globe in minutes, and competition, whether from a competitor business or a colleague, is fiercer than ever. Many of us are overwhelmed in this fast-paced world. Our lives feel like a never-ending struggle to respond and keep up with each new change. You'll never be successful if you spend your entire life treading water like this. So how do you avoid this fate? Goals. Those who have specific goals in mind know what information to pay attention to and what to disregard. Despite their importance, genuine goals are uncommon. Only about 3% of people have a set of clear, written goals that help them navigate life. If you aren't already part of that 3%, you should be. First, gather some paper. Goals are most effective when they are written down. Then, think about what you really want to accomplish in the next year or so. Make a list of 10 things you want to do. Some of these objectives may be accomplished quickly, while others may take an entire year. Write each goal in a specific way. Use the present tense. Make it personal and make it positive. As an example, suppose you want to write a novel. You'd write that goal as, I complete my novel by August 31st this year. Or if you want to stop eating junk food, you'd use empowering language such as, I am a healthy eater, rather than negative language such as, stop eating junk food. Next, go through this list of goals and pick out one that really stands out as something you want to accomplish this year. Once you've discovered this goal, it becomes your major definite purpose in life. Take a blank sheet of paper and brainstorm at least 20 ways you can make this goal a reality. Make a list of mini goals for your novel, such as research potential editors or complete writing classes, and tackle the first task as soon as possible. If you cross something off your to-do list every day, it won't be long before you reach your ultimate goal. Summary Part 6. Use your time at work to complete important tasks, not to play or procrastinate. We are all aware that children must attend school in order to receive an education. However, it is also at school that people develop a very bad habit, one that will cost them when they enter the workforce. This heinous habit is called play. Play is at the heart of our childhood experience from the time we start school until the time we graduate. We play in the morning, at recess, after school, and on weekends. The issue is that our desire to play does not end when we leave school and begin working. According to studies, the average employee only works between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. And even then, the majority of this brief period is spent interacting with coworkers. Unfortunately, our ability is limited by our focus on play. How? Your earning ability, what others are willing to pay you for completing a task, is the most valuable asset you have in your life. Success is determined by how quickly and effective you complete tasks. To join the ranks of the successful, you must spend every working hour actually working, not grabbing coffee with colleagues, wasting hours on the internet, or checking your email or social media incessantly. Of course, concentrating on one's work is easier said than done. The desire to play and procrastinate is deeply embedded in all of us. Fortunately, there are a few tried and true techniques that will help you succeed. One excellent method is the law of 3. According to the law of 3, just 3 of your tasks will account for 90% of your results. The key is to identify and concentrate all of your effort on these 3 things. Make a list of everything you need to do in order to find these 3 critical tasks. Don't be concerned if you come up with a lengthy list. Then ask yourself 3 critical questions. Which items on this list would yield the greatest return if I only did one thing today? Which of the following would produce the second best results if I only did 2 things on this list today? Which of the following would yield the third best results if I only did 3 things on this list today? Consult your closest colleagues or your boss to help you find the right answers. Which 3 tasks and duties do they believe are the most important of all those for which you are responsible? Once you've identified your 3, your entire working day should be devoted to completing them. Your other tasks are irrelevant. You'll get more done and increase your earning potential this way. Summary Part 7. In the modern world, success requires a flexible mind that continues to learn. Our world is always changing. Indeed, we are living in one of the most turbulent periods of human history. To be successful, you must be aware of technological advancements. Consider Borders, the massive book retail that went out of business after the Kindle and iPad revolutionized the print industry. Borders' obliviousness bankrupted it. And if you want to avoid a similar fate, you'll need to think creatively. The ability to quickly react and adapt in the face of dramatic change is best described as flexible thinking. Flexible thinkers, unlike the executives at Borders, understand the importance of change and innovation and will adapt accordingly. But how do you cultivate the proper mindset for flexible thinking? The best way to avoid falling into a comfort zone is the practice that Brian Tracy refers to as zero-based thinking. To do so, you must consistently evaluate the worth of everything you do. More specifically, you should ask yourself a difficult question. Would I do this again from the beginning? Ask this simple question in every aspect of your life. For example, are you friends with a coworker whom you would not befriend if you started working at the company today? Perhaps there is someone you used to enjoy hanging out with but now believe holds you back. Or perhaps you've made a business or career decision that you now realize you shouldn't have. Whatever unsettling conclusions zero-based thinking yields, you must be ruthless in undoing these mistakes. This will not be easy. You must admit that you made the wrong decision, and more importantly, you must accept that your investments in these areas, whether time, capital, or emotions, will be lost. You must simply accept this and cut your losses. Even though it's painful now, it'll be better in the long run. Fortunately, as difficult as it is to discontinue activities that no longer provide satisfaction, the results are worthwhile. You'll have more time, more energy, and a huge sense of relief. Furthermore, you will become more adaptable. You'll find yourself in a better position, ready to let go of the things that are holding you back and seize new opportunities. Part 8 Summary. Avoid mechanical thinking by taking creative risks. If you enjoy cooking, you know that following a new recipe for the first time can often result in culinary disaster. A good cook, on the other hand, learns from these mistakes, tries again, and may even discover a new favorite dish. Smart thinking works in the same way. You must take risks, make mistakes, learn from them, and find innovative ways to improve. This is the polar opposite of mechanical reasoning. Mechanical thinkers believe in extremes. Things are either completely successful or completely unsuccessful, with no room for anything in between. They also tend to reject novel ideas, owing it to fear and failure. However, their fear of being judged and ridiculed often keeps them stuck with old ideas and methods. These people are naturally unsuccessful because they rarely step outside of their comfort zone or make changes. A mechanical thinker-run restaurant is easily identified because it appears to be stuck in the past, with fading fixtures and the same dull, out-of-date menu. Creative thinkers, on the other hand, hold the keys to success because they are always looking for ways to improve. Whereas mechanical thinkers focus on problems, creative thinkers concentrate on solutions. Follow these simple steps to get started thinking creatively. Begin by examining what you do and looking for a flaw. For example, if you own a business, consider what is preventing it from growing. When you believe you've defined your problem, the next step is to admit that you haven't. Your conclusion is almost certainly too broad, so begin parsing it out. For example, you may have defined your problem as not enough revenue, but reconsider it. Perhaps it's because not enough people are buying your product, which leads to people prefer your competitor's product, which leads to your product isn't compatible with the latest technology. Keep working until you find the true underlying issue. Once you've identified your issue, it's time to find a solution. Work hard and enlist the assistance of your team to find it. You can probably guess what you need to do next once you have one. Yes, that's correct. Keep going and find even more solutions. Make a list of them before deciding which one you believe will work best. Then assign key performance indicators, KPIs, to this solution. These will show you whether your solution is working. Then designate someone to be in overall charge. Then set a deadline for implementing it. Of course, there is a chance that your solution will fail, so make some backup plans just in case. By using this structural approach to finding creative solutions, your company will have a better chance of staying ahead of the competition and thriving in an ever-changing world. Becoming wealthy begins with thinking like a rich person. What is the wealth secret? As surprising as it may sound, the wealthy do not have one. Anyone can become wealthy if they begin to think like a wealthy individual. As surprising as it may sound, the wealthy do not have one. Anyone can become wealthy if they begin to think like a wealthy individual. This is due to the law of correspondence, which states that your internal positioning, that is, your outlook and perspectives on life, will be reflected externally. For example, if you believe you are deserving, hardworking, and valuable to the world, you will succeed. The law of correspondence works. When Brian Tracy was poor, he once saw someone in the same evening school as him drive up to class in a pricey, beautiful Mercedes. He needed one right away. As a result, he began to think like a wealthy individual. He researched billionaires, got a better job, and worked longer and harder for his bosses. Soon enough, he'd amassed enough bonus money to purchase the same Mercedes. He became successful because he began to think like a successful person. If you want to be wealthy, like Brian Tracy, you must cultivate a wealthy mindset. To do so, you should first examine what wealthy people do. Read about billionaires and watch interviews with them. Look for the habits that have made them so successful. Habits are most likely the most important factor in achieving success. After all, they control 95% of what we do, so concentrate on creating powerful ones. To form a good habit, such as waking up very early, concentrate on one aspect at a time and strive to do it every day. You can probably make this habit a part of your life in the next 20 or 30 days, and you can move on to the next one, such as carefully planning your tasks each week or managing your investments to get the best results. Even if you've already established a few good habits, you shouldn't rest on your laurels. Wealthy people are always looking for new ways to grow, and you should be as well. There are positive and negative ways to use your brain. A distracted and unfocused mind that only wants to learn about things that reinforces its negative preconceptions, or a sharp creative mind. The latter sees the bright side of life and achieves success by being curious, adaptable, and innovative. So instead of procrastinating, use flexible thinking. Write down your goals, shift your perspective, and adapt the rich mindset. See the opportunity in every challenge. Consider your most pressing issue for a moment. Instead of viewing it as a problem, consider it a gift, an opportunity to learn more about yourself. Perhaps it will provide insight into your behavior and allow you to change the future and be more successful. Remember Henry Ford's words: failure and adversity are opportunities to start over and make it better. All right, guys, congratulations on making it to the end of that simplified version of Get Smart from Brian Tracy. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like this type of simplified content, please subscribe to the channel. We'll be coming out with new content almost daily. And I know a lot of this knowledge that was outlined in this one was similar to the past teachings that we've seen, but it's just good to reaffirm this to ourselves and keep on continuing down the path to success. I love you guys and I appreciate you guys. I'll see you on the next one.